Egg count is the easiest number to chase, but it can be the worst way to choose your first chickens. A chicken can look perfect on paper. Big egg number, good reputation. Everyone says it is a great layer. But then you bring it home, and suddenly you realize the problem was never just eggs. The bird is too flighty, too loud, too nervous, too bossy, or it needs more management than your small setup is ready for. On small land, the best egg-laying chicken is not always the bird with the biggest number. It is the bird that gives steady eggs without turning your backyard into a daily problem. So instead of ranking these chickens by egg numbers alone, we are going to judge them by a beginner test: eggs, temperament, space, management, and trade-off. Because the real question is not, which chicken lays the most eggs? The real question is, which chicken actually works for your land, your routine, your climate, and your skill level? Watch until the end, because the number one chicken on this list may be the best first egg layer for many beginners. But it comes with one trade-off you need to understand before you buy it. Before we rank them, here is the test. A beginner chicken on small land has to pass 5 things: eggs, temperament, space, management, and trade-off. It needs to lay enough to be worth feeding. It needs to be calm enough to manage. It needs to fit a backyard or small run. It needs to forgive normal beginner mistakes. And it needs to have a trade-off you understand before you buy it. That is why the highest egg number does not automatically win. Let's start with number 5. Chicken number 5 is the white leghorn. White leghorns are the egg number trap. On paper, they look like they should be at the top of almost every egg-laying list. They are light-bodied, efficient, active birds that can produce a lot of eggs without eating like a heavier chicken. If your main concern is cost per egg, the white leghorn deserves respect. For the right person, this bird makes sense. If you already have secure fencing, a safe co-op, and enough room for an active chicken to move, a white leghorn can be a very practical layer. It is especially useful for someone who wants egg efficiency and does not need every chicken to act like a friendly backyard pet. That efficiency matters on small land. You do not have unlimited space, unlimited feed, or unlimited room for animals that do not return value. A bird that eats less and still lays well can absolutely earn its place. But this is also why it sits at number 5. The white leghorn is strong on eggs, but it is not always soft on beginners. These birds can be nervous. They can be flighty. They can be noisy. They can be harder to catch than heavier, calmer breeds. And if your backyard has close neighbors, low fencing, children around the flock, or a small run where every bird's personality matters, that energy can become frustrating fast. That does not make the white leghorn a bad chicken. It means you should not choose it only because the egg number looks good. A beginner may think, I want the most eggs. But after a few weeks, the real question becomes, can I manage this bird every day without stress? That is the small land test. White leghorns can work very well when the setup is ready for them. But if this is your first flock, and you want calm birds that are easy to handle while you learn the basics, they may not be the easiest first choice. They earn number 5 because they pass the egg test beautifully, but they do not always pass the beginner comfort test. If you want efficiency and you are ready for an active layer, consider them. If you want a calmer first flock, keep watching. Because number 4 is not as sleek or efficient, but it brings something many beginners need: toughness. Chicken number 4 is the Rhode Island Red. Rhode Island Reds are working backyard birds. They are not delicate. They are not fancy. They are not the kind of chicken that feels like it needs a perfect homestead before it can do its job. They are practical, hardy, useful birds with a long reputation for giving good brown eggs and handling normal backyard conditions. That is why so many beginners look at them. A Rhode Island Red makes sense for someone who wants a tough chicken that feels like it belongs on a real homestead. It can handle weather changes better than many fragile birds. It can forage when given safe access to grass, soil, bugs, and garden edges. It can fit into a small food-producing system where eggs matter. Manure matters, and every animal should return value. For a beginner, that kind of durability is comforting. Because your first chicken setup will probably improve over time. Maybe your co-op is good, but not perfect. Maybe your run works, but you will adjust it later. Maybe your manure plan starts simple. Maybe you are still learning how much bedding, feed, and water a flock really uses. A hardy bird gives you room to learn. But the trade-off is personality. Some Rhode Island Reds can be bossy. Not all of them. Many are perfectly manageable, but some are assertive, and in a small flock, one assertive bird can change the whole mood of the co-op. It may push calmer birds away from the feeder. It may dominate the pecking order. It may not be the gentlest bird for a very small backyard flock. Especially if you are mixing it with softer breeds. This is where beginners sometimes get surprised. They hear hardy and think easy. But those are not always the same thing. Hardy means the bird can handle a lot. Easy means the bird fits your flock without creating extra stress. Rhode Island Reds are often hardy, but depending on the strain and the individual bird, they are not always the calmest. That is why they land at number 4. They are a very good choice for beginners who want a tough, productive, practical layer. They can absolutely work on small land, but they are not ranked higher because flock attitude matters when space is limited. If you want a working backyard bird, they are worth considering. If you want the softest, calmest first flock possible, number 3 may be a better fit. Chicken number 3 is the Barred Plymouth Rock. Barred Plymouth Rocks prove that boring can be beautiful. They are not the flashiest chicken on this list. They are not usually the bird people use for dramatic egg claims. They do not always win the production chart. But for a beginner on small land, that might be exactly why they work so well. A barred rock is steady. It gives dependable brown eggs. It usually has a calmer temperament. It fits backyard life well. It is friendly enough for many beginners, but still useful enough to feel like a real homestead bird. And that matters more than people think. Your first chickens are not just there to fill an egg basket. They are there to teach you how chickens fit into your life. They teach you how fast water gets dirty. They teach you how much bedding a flock uses. They teach you how predators test weak points. They teach you how manure builds up. They teach you how flock behavior changes when birds are crowded, stressed, hot, cold, or hungry. A calmer chicken gives you more room to learn. That is the hidden value of the Barred Plymouth Rock. It may not give you the biggest number on paper, but it can give you a smoother first year. Less chasing, less flock tension, less surprise, more confidence. And confidence matters. Many beginners do not quit because chickens are impossible. They quit because their first flock becomes more stressful than they expected. The co-op gets dirty faster than they planned. The birds are harder to manage than they hoped. The feed bill feels heavier than the egg basket. And suddenly, the dream starts feeling like another chore. A predictable bird helps prevent that. On small land, predictable is powerful. You see your birds every day. You hear them near the house. You manage them close to the garden. You clean up after them. You protect them. You learn from them. A bird that stays steady makes the whole system feel more possible. The trade-off is simple. Barred rocks are not always the highest output egg machine. If you are chasing the biggest egg number, you may look past them. But that would be a mistake. For a beginner who wants a calm, steady, backyard-friendly flock, Barred Plymouth Rock may be one of the safest choices on this list. It earns number 3 because it may not win the egg chart, but it often wins the daily life test. And on small land, daily life is where chickens either work or fail. Chicken number 2 is the black Australorp. Black Australorps are the balance birds. They sit in the space many beginners are actually looking for, even if they do not know how to describe it yet. You want eggs, but not chaos. You want a useful bird, but not a nervous one. You want a chicken that feels like it belongs on a homestead. But you do not want to start with something that requires expert management from day one. That is where the black Australorp makes sense. It has a strong reputation as a good layer. It is often calmer than flightier production birds. It has a practical body, a steady temperament, and a heritage-style feel that fits well with the small land homestead mindset. This is not just about one season of eggs. This is about building a flock that feels sustainable to live with. For a beginner on small land, that balance is valuable. A calm bird makes chores easier. A productive bird earns its feed. A practical bird fits the garden, the compost plan, the backyard routine, and the long-term learning curve. Black Australorps often bring those pieces together better than most. They are especially good for someone who wants more than a short burst of production. If you are thinking about a small homestead flock that feels steady, useful, and easier to manage over time, this bird deserves serious attention. But here is the warning. Do not turn the Australorp into a magic chicken. Some people hear big laying stories and start expecting every bird to perform like a record holder. That is not realistic. A breed reputation is not a guarantee. Your setup still matters. Your feed still matters. Your water, shade, bedding, predator protection, and daily care still matter. A good chicken can still struggle in a poor system. Black Australorps need the same basics as every other chicken. Balanced feed, clean water, calcium, dry shelter, shade in heat, protection at night, and on small land. They need a manure and bedding plan so the flock supports the homestead instead of turning into a mess. Safe kitchen scraps, garden trimmings, insects, weeds, and controlled foraging can help support a flock, but they do not replace proper nutrition. Eggs are not free. The goal is not to pretend chickens cost nothing. The goal is to choose birds that make the care, feed, and space worth it. That is why the Australorp is number 2. It may be the best balanced heritage-style choice on this list. It gives good egg value, calmer behavior, and a strong small homestead fit. It is not the fastest shortcut to early eggs. But for a beginner who wants balance, not just speed, Black Australorp is hard to ignore. Now number 1 is different. It is not a heritage breeding plan. It is not the perfect chicken. But for many beginners who want eggs quickly and need early momentum, it may be the most practical first step. Chicken number 1 is Isa Brown or Golden Comet. Isa Brown and Golden Comet are the momentum birds. And before we go any further, let's make this clear. They are grouped together in this number 1 spot because they fill the same role for this video. They are beginner-friendly production hybrid layers. They are not heritage breeds. They are not the birds you choose if your main goal is to breed the same type generation after generation and expect the offspring to come out the same. They are here because of what they can do for a beginner. They help the first flock feel successful early. That matters more than people think. When someone starts with chickens, they need momentum. They need to feel that the work is turning into food. They need to walk out in the morning, collect eggs, and feel that the system is beginning to pay them back. Isa Browns and Golden Comets are very good at giving that feeling. They are often friendly. They are usually easier to handle than flightier high-output birds. They tend to start laying early. They can give steady brown eggs. And for many new chicken keepers, they make the first egg-laying experience feel simple and rewarding. That is why they earn number 1. Not because they are perfect. Not because they will lay every day forever. Not because they remove feed cost. Not because they are the best chicken for every single homestead. They often help beginners get results before discouragement sets in. And that can be the difference between a flock that grows into a real system and a flock that feels like an expensive experiment. A good first chicken should help you learn the rhythm: feed, water, bedding, nest boxes, egg collection, predator checks, manure management, daily observation. When the bird is friendly and productive, the beginner is more likely to keep going long enough to improve the system. That is real value. But the trade-off is important. Isa Browns and Golden Comets are production hybrids. They often give their strongest production early. Over time, they may not have the same long productive life as some heritage-style birds. And because they are bred for high output, some may be more prone to reproductive stress than slower, traditional chickens. That does not make them bad. It means you should buy them with clear expectations. Do not buy them as a forever heritage breeding flock. Do not expect them to lay forever. Do not expect them to eliminate your feed bill. And do not expect them to be the perfect answer for every homestead. They are number 1 because they do one job very well. For many beginners on small land, they make the first egg-laying experience feel simple, rewarding, and productive early. That is real value. Now let's make the final choice simple. If you want eggs quickly, steady production, and early motivation, choose Isa Brown or Golden Comet. If you want heritage-style balance, choose Black Australorp. If you want the calmest beginner flock, choose Barred Plymouth Rock. If you want a tough working backyard bird, choose Rhode Island Red. If you want egg efficiency and you already have a secure setup, choose White Leghorn. But do not choose by egg count alone. The best chicken is not the one with the biggest egg number. It is the one that fits your real setup. Start small, protect the flock, make a feed plan, make a manure plan, and choose birds that actually work for your land, your routine, your climate, and your skill level. Because on small land, every animal has to earn its place. Thanks for watching. Comment below and tell me what you want to see next: co-op setup, feed cost, predator protection, or the best flock size for small land. And if you want practical homestead choices for real backyards, half-acre properties, and small land, subscribe to Small Land Homestead. I'll see you in the next video.